So, when you think about upgrading your brain with technology, your mind probably jumps to being smarter, right? Having more knowledge. But what if the next massive leap in cognition isn't about what we think, but about how fast we think it? Forget just having better ideas for a second. I want you to really think about this. What happens to our society when some people can think, decide, and communicate at a totally different speed than everyone else? And that's the whole point. This isn't about being smarter in the traditional sense. It's about being faster. And as we're about to see, that one single change introduces a whole set of challenges that, frankly, we've never even had to think about before. Researchers are calling this the new speed divide. For a long time, the conversation has been about how much we can enhance our brains. But now it's shifting to how fast. And that makes cognitive tempo, the literal speed of our thoughts, the next big frontier for social inequality. You see, when a group of people starts operating at wildly different mental speeds, it doesn't just make things more efficient. It actually creates this new kind of social friction. I mean, just imagine trying to have a conversation with someone who's basically on fast forward. The whole thing would just break down immediately. So this whole phenomenon actually has a name. It's called temporal stratification. Let's really dig in and define what that means. Temporal stratification is basically a new way to slice up society. But instead of being divided by class or wealth, we're divided by cognitive speed. And according to the research, it comes down to two things. Latency, which is your reaction time, how fast you can go from thought to action, and bandwidth, which is how many mental jobs you can juggle at once. So how does this happen? Well, tech creates this speed gap in two main ways. First, you've got tools that reduce latency, making you react almost instantly. Think of a neural implant that practically finishes your sentences for you. Second, you have tools that expand your mental bandwidth, like a brain coprocessor that lets you think about 5 different complex problems at the same time. Either one of those creates a huge speed difference. Okay, so we've got the definition down, but what does this friction actually feel like in the real world? What are the actual consequences when we're all living on different internal clocks? You know, a quote from the lead researcher here really just nails it. It's all about the little things, the everyday stuff. It's about constantly interrupting each other because your sense of timing is just off. It's about missing your turn in a fast-paced meeting or two people trying to make a decision when their cycles are completely out of sync. And this research points to 3 key areas where this friction really shows up. At work, it creates what they call pacing friction, which just tanks coordination. In our personal lives, it could lead to something they call clock drift divorce, where partners literally can't stay on the same wavelength. And for society as a whole, it threatens the very idea of democracy by making public debate almost impossible. And the paper's model shows this penalty in a way that's, well, it's pretty shocking. When the speed difference on a team is low, coordination is great, around 95% effective. But look what happens. As that tempo gap gets wider, the ability to work together absolutely plummets. With a high disparity, team effectiveness drops to a mere 25%. This isn't just some small dip. We're talking about coordination falling off a cliff. So you have to ask, if this friction becomes too much to handle, what happens then? Well, people might just start to self-segregate. The paper calls this enclaving by tempo, where society just naturally splits into fast and slow groups, simply because it's too hard to interact with people who aren't on your clock. And that could create some incredibly deep social divides. Okay, so the problem is clear, and the stakes are obviously really high. But here's the good news. The research doesn't just, ring the alarm and run away. It also offers a path forward. It proposes real solutions for how we can build a world that works for multiple speeds. And the core idea here is that the answer isn't to ban the technology. It's to design smarter tools and, frankly, smarter rules. The paper suggests a whole temporal toolkit. This includes things like adaptive software that adjusts to different paces, work policies that don't just reward speed, and even new rules for public debate, like structured pauses or using AI to summarize things so everyone can keep up. Now, one of the most fascinating ideas is something they call the latency equalizer. Imagine a tool that detects a speed mismatch between two people and then works to fix it.
Maybe it adds tiny delays for the faster person, or it gives gentle cues to the slower person. The whole goal isn't to make everyone the same speed, it's to keep everyone in sync.
When you put all of these solutions together, you start to see this really powerful new way of thinking emerge. It's asking us to completely reframe the whole debate and to start seeing time not as a personal resource to be optimized, but as a shared good that we all depend on to connect with each other. And really, the entire ethical heart of this research is captured in this one simple line. Tempo is not a virtue. It is a parameter. Being fast isn't automatically better than being slow. They're just different settings. What really matters isn't the individual setting, but whether different settings can work together compatibly.
So the ultimate takeaway here is really one of empowerment. This future isn't something that's just going to happen to us. The very same technologies that have the potential to create this speed gap can also be used to bridge it. The choice is ours. We can let society fracture along these new temporal lines, or we can intentionally design our tools and our communities for compatibility.
And that leaves us with the final, crucial question. We know a world with both fast and slow thinkers is coming. So the real question we have to answer is, how will we build a world where both can thrive together? How are we going to design a future that respects all speeds of thought?